hustle on the mission. Grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the rich. Every single day, I'm a hustle on the mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. Hey, I'm a hustler on a mission, grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the rich. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. Hey, I'm a hustler on a mission, grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the rich. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. Hey, I'm a hustler on a mission, grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the rich. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. Hey, I'm a hustler on a mission, grinding for that spot, a brand new pot. I'm a hustler on a mission, grinding for that spot, a brand new pot. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the rich. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. I ain't kidding, I'm on a mission. Brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the rich. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. I'm on a mission, 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 365.
One time my boy Capital J, you heard me, that boy that got it going on.
I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission.
Hustle on a mission every day, baby. We don't sleep.
Grinding my time, fuck with the homie, but you already know it's snap.
Hustlers on a motherfucking mission, nigga. Home Inc. Shout out to my dog, man. You already know.
Check it, man. It's Rolls Royce Rental. I'm just another hustler on a mission every day. You feel me?
What's up, y'all? This is Shotty Moore, and shout out to my boy Capital, homie. Does the thing behind the camera, and I can't wait to see what his work is like.
Hey, what's good? It's Treasure Glam, and I'm definitely rocking with Homie. Hustles on a mission every day. I can rock with that too.
Shout out to my cousin Steven and Taylor Gang and Home Inc. Boy, Taylor Gang to die.
I'm on a
Fucking with the
mission,
kid, man. Tell me,
24/7,
you know what I'm saying? That's all I can say.
until I reach the heavens. I'm on a mission, 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 365, 24/7, until the day I die. I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission.
Y'all for my dog Home Inc, man.
He got that glass.
Hold on.
Shit.
I gotta say this, Bo.
Hold on.
You ain't got no bands, man.
Capital right there and now, nigga, don't inbox dot about no.
What you say? What if they ain't got what?
You ain't got no capital right there and duh. You ain't greasing no palms, don't inbox nobody on the fetish squad about no motherfucking feature.
Don't do it.
motherfucking do it, nigga. That shit ain't motherfucking about no capital. Don't motherfucking do it, nigga. Welcome back. Home Inc. TV, hustlers on a mission every day. We in the lit house. Whatever you do, make sure you keep the light within you shining bright. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Everyday shit media, where we bringing the media to you every day with the shit that's going on. Sponsored by dividendsapparel.com. Whatever you do, make sure you do it capital and create a positive impact today and later. Fuck them haters. Get your paper straight like that. You feel me? Excuse me. Like, life is too short, right? They say life is too short. I'm not sure about that. I think life is just as long as it needs to be. And that's probably one of the lies. You know what I'm saying? That's probably one of the lies that you got to read between. You feel me? Like, from the day you was born, right? They got a bucket full of lies to feed you until you reach a certain age. And then it's a different bucket full of lies once you reach that stage, like preteens and shit like that. It's a whole nother bucket of lies. For every level of your life, it's a bucket of lies. And this bucket is different buckets from different people. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, it's only like one bucket because it's your parents, it's your peoples who you ultimately get that information from, and the lies, like what they allow to be told to you as a lie for you to believe, like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's the little kid bucket of lies. You feel me? And then as you grow, you get a whole different bucket of lies within the school system. You know what I'm saying? Within your family, you get a whole different bucket of lies. Some people around here with family, it's not even their family, right? But they don't know that. And that shit don't come out until later with a whole new bucket of lies. Some people be adopted for years and don't find out until after the motherfucker's dead. They don't find out until it's too late for real. Some people don't find out at all. Some people just be lost their whole entire life because they ain't had the technology. They weren't told the truth. They was misled. They were deceived. And the majority of the people that's going to deceive you is your loved ones, the people that's supposed to love you the most, right? That's what it's supposed to be. I mean, that's not what it's supposed to be, but that's how it is, right? You receive the most lies from the people supposedly love you, from the people that you done heard I love you from. They're the people that's gonna lie to you the most. And the only reason they lie to you is what? Because they care about you, they care about your feelings. But I don't know about that. I think they care about their own feelings to your reaction of the truth. If that make any sense. You know what I'm saying? People really lie for their benefit of their own emotions to protect themselves from your reaction of the truth. In a way that's kind of cowardly and bitch made, if you ask me. That's why I never understood, like, I don't give a damn about capping. Especially to the people that I'm supposed to fuck with and supposed to know what's up. I had a homeboy tell me a while ago, like a couple of years ago, I'm loyal to a fault, right? Like, I'm too real to a fault. And I was like, what the fuck that even mean, bro? Loyalty is loyalty, bro. But you know what I'm saying? I get it though. You could ultimately be loyal to people that's not loyal to you the same way, and that in itself is loyal to a fault. Because how you gonna be loyal to a bitch that ain't even loyal to herself? You know what I'm saying? How can you trust a compulsive liar is telling you the truth? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit's oil and water, bro. Shit don't be mixing. And like everybody got shit going on, right? Like, I know how close I be to snapping on shit, right? So I could just imagine the next person. They got way more shit going on than me. That's probably way more fucked up in the head than me. I could just imagine like the shit that they be going through. You feel me? Like, that's one thing that keep a nigga, you know what I'm saying, from making rash decisions. But when you really in your thoughts and shit like that, when you really fucked up about whatever you going through, you don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You don't give a fuck about, you don't even think about that shit. And even if you think about it, you don't give a fuck nobody else going through whatever the fuck they going through. Bitch, cause you going through what the fuck you going through. And that shit ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. Yeah, I understand that all the way. But in all actuality, in this shit called life, all this shit is temporary, bro. All this shit is temporary. Do you know there's places on this earth, right? They don't want you to see. It's places on this earth they don't want you to know exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that shit. There's places on this earth they don't even know exist. Like, for real. Like, I seen this shit where Bill Nye was talking about this is a closed structure. The earth is a closed structure, right? So all that moon landing and all that other shit that was going on, it never happened. The shit that you learned in school, it's so much shit you was taught in school that was lies. Like, just stupid ass lies. Like, I never took the SAT. I never took the SAT, right? And the SAT was supposed to be a system to grade you, like, for you going to college and shit. And it'll make it so bad. I kind of wanted to go to college. I want to go to college just for nothing but the experience for real. Like I don't give a fuck about the school, the lessons, and learning shit and paying all that money. I definitely want to pay no money to go to no fucking school, get no loan to go to school. That ain't make no sense to me. I'm gonna get a loan to go to school for the shit they could pay me. I mean, I gotta pay it back. When in all actuality, the way they be taxing motherfuckers in the country, it should have been a system where if you go to school and for this profession, you get out, you work in this profession. It should have been a system where, all right, you in the profession, you graduated, you got your degree in and all that. It could have been a system where they took a percentage, like from that job, from your shit, until it was paid off. They could have took 3% or whatever. They take taxes and shit anyway. They could have had a whole different, better system than what the fuck they got or what they was using. And now it's like, all right, y'all granted shit. Niggas really not out of money, but it's the illusion of motherfuckers being out of money. So now it's another bigger illusion of the debt. You know what I'm saying? Of America and all that other shit. And it's like, you know the bullshit when you hear the bullshit, right? Like with anything. When you're dealing with the world, when you're dealing with your people, when you're dealing with family, when you're dealing with loved one, when you're dealing with your kids, you could tell a lot when you hear it. You could feel the difference. You feel me? Like, you could really feel. If you in tune with shit, you know what I'm saying? You ain't just sleep out here. You could tell. You could feel the energy and, you know what I'm saying? How people tell the truth versus how they lie. And I'm going to tell you how to point out a compulsive liar. It's easy. You ask them 3 simple questions. All it takes is 3 simple questions. It don't matter when you ask them. It ain't got to be the same day, around the same time, none of that. Just 3 simple questions. 3 simple questions. I'm talking about simple shit like simple shit. Simple shit that you know they did. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you eat the last of the cereal? You know what I'm saying? Hey, did you move my glasses? You know what I'm saying? Just shit like that. Like, now, when you ask them the simple questions, right? A normal, honest person's reaction is going to be they're gonna actually think about it. You're gonna be like, damn, what was the question? Did I move? What? Did I eat the rest of what? That's an honest person probably gonna think about, damn, well, did I do that? Yeah, I did. Then honest person probably gonna be like, if they know other, oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. But a compulsive liar is not even gonna hear it. They're gonna hear the question, then they first instinct is gonna be to lie. And then after they realize what they lying about is not serious enough for them to be lying about the shit, within that same half a second, the next second, they're gonna tell you the truth. That's how you spot a compulsive liar. Because in all actuality, they're trying to answer fast, so it gives the illusion that they're being honest. So when they answer fast, trying to get the illusion that they're being honest. But in all actuality, when they register that thought, then they want to actually be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been dealing with compulsive lies my whole life. Like, people lie to you just to better their situation. It don't matter who it is. It could be your mama, nigga. It could be your daddy. It could be your grandma. It could be your auntie. It could be your brother. It could be your sister. It could be your bitch. Nigga. No matter who it is, man. this world full of cap, full of fake ass, capping ass people. But you can't really blame the people when it's the world. Know what I'm saying? Can you? Can you really blame the people when it's the world? But either way, you got to learn to read between the lies of the world. You know what I'm saying? This is a little therapy session I came through with myself. I'm gonna look at some other shit that I was talking about, like how's places on this earth you don't even know about. We'll be back.
Single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners on, babe, they pay attention. Sticking to my vision, on the road to the riches. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I reach the heavens. I'm on a mission. 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 365.
One time my boy Capital J, you heard me, that boy that got it going on.
I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission.
Hustle on a mission every day, baby. We don't.
Home Inc, man. Oh, he got that glass house. Shit.
Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Come on. Keep them blunts a going. Keep it coming up. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em.
I know you don't smoke weed.
Come on, come on.
I know this.
Crack open the 40.
But I'ma get you high today. Cause it's Friday.
Roll 'em, roll 'em.
You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit to do.
Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Come on. Keep them blunts a going. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Get high. Come on, come on. Crack open the 40 so we can all get noise. Come on, roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Smoke out. Shit, break it down. Just roll. Them feeling blind. Just roll. Them Garcia Vega. Just roll. Them Tampa Nuggets. Roll. Them White House. Just roll. Them feeling blind. Just roll. Them Garcia Vega. Just roll. Them Tampa Nuggets. Roll. Them White House. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Come on. Keep them blunts a going. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Get high. Come on, come on. Crack open the 40 so we can all get noise. Come on, roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Smoke out. Shit, break it down.
Now that piss test shit'll make a nigga sick. Man, my probation officer could suck this dick. I ain't never been the one to listen to the law, and I don't smoke out of papers cause that shit flaw. I'm all about Tampa Nugget, you ain't with it, motherfuck it. I'ma roll 4 deep, getting high in the bucket. Fuck it, my occupation is to smoke like a Haitian. Would if I could, grow the shit like a Jamaican, no faking. My plan is to smoke the whole nation and free my homies locked up in rehabilitation. Hold me tripping with that, let me hit your weed for free shit. Well, close your eyes, open your mouth and get down on your knees quick. I'm all about getting hit cause I need my dick sucked. So do your thing and I keep rolling it up. So what's up? Sing it.
Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Come on. Keep them blunts a going. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Get high. Come on, come on. Crack open the 40 so we can all get noise. Come on. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Smoke out. Shit, break it down. Roll it up on the west side. Roll it up. Come on, come on. Roll it up on the east side. Roll it up. Roll it up on the north side. Roll it up. Roll it up on the south side. Roll it up. Come on, come on. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Come on. Keep them blunts a going. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Get high. Come on, come on. Crack open the 40 so we can all get noise. Come on. Roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. Smoke out. Shit, break it down.
Well, it's the jit, y'all. Known for smoking out and talking shit, y'all. Pass that blunt so I can hit y'all. We here so you know I won't quit, y'all. Forget y'all. Yes, I must confess, I caught the sight from the west. A nigga need to get that weed up in his chest. Roll one now, after that, smoke the rest. The smoke I smoke make the bitches undress. Off in the club, stumping asses on their breast. Nevertheless, jit roll blunts the best. I will blow a shotgun through your bulletproof vest. If you don't put in, you a girl or a pest. So I suggest you put the bullshit to rest. Before
Yeah, that was my dog. Crazy. My OG in this rap shit. Yeah, man. With the classic roll 'em, roll 'em, roll 'em. I had to walk away, so I was like, you know what, let me play some shit. That's probably gonna be my new shit, man. I'm gonna just play some of my work that I used to do, videos and shit. Excuse me. Excuse me. Show my partners some love and shit. I appreciate everybody that spent $1 with me doing anything with anything. You feel me? Because we are hustlers on a mission every day. This is Home Inc. TV. We are in a lit house. Whatever you do, make sure you keep the light within you shining bright. You feel me? Sponsored by dividendsapparel.com. Whatever you do, make sure you do it capital and create a positive impact today and later. Fuck them haters. Get your paper straight like that. And never forget, real niggas do what they want to do. Bitch niggas do what they can. Hoe ass niggas gonna talk about it, and fuck niggas gonna hate. Regardless, I promise you that. So just do your shit to the fullest, nigga. Fuck what they think, bitch. I don't give a fuck about it, and you shouldn't either. All right. Now, let's see what else we doing. All right, we was talking about the places of the world, right? Places of the world where they don't even want you to know exist. They don't even know it exists. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much shit in the world, right? And when I do this, I don't want to do that like that. You feel me? Because we not watching that right now. We want to watch something else. So, matter of fact, let's go here. And I got to close something over here, too. Something got to get closed over here. Yeah, we going to close this one. Because that's on right now. I wasn't even registered, but... All right, so... Let's see what goes beyond the ice wall. What is really behind the ice wall in Antarctica? Exiled from land beyond ice wall. Cut it out, man. Who the
Says he was exiled from, a land beyond the ice wall, and our realm is a prison. Says he was exiled from, a land beyond the ice wall, and our realm is a prison.
I don't know about that shit right there, dog. That nigga look crazy. It said island the prison. He was exiled and island the prison. I don't know, man. I don't know, dog. So if he was exiled, what if he like one of them other people? Like, I don't know. Let's go. Oh, y'all can't see that. So let me show y'all. Y'all ain't see this shit that I saw. That nigga look crazy as fuck.
Says he was exiled from, a land beyond the ice wall, and our realm is a prison.
Y'all see this shit?
Says he was exiled from, a land beyond the ice wall, and our realm is a prison.
I don't know what that was, but That wasn't what I was talking about. I was talking about the nigga that had some jets, right? And he flew beyond the shit. And it had got dark. And he was like, I'm going to wait till the sun come up to land. But he had this bitch in the air for so long. Like, he had a bitch in the air for like 12 hours or some shit. So he thought he was going to have, you know what I'm saying, the sun come up in a couple hours, whatever. No sun. So he had to land that bitch in the dark somewhere. They ain't never hear from the nigga again. What they talking 90-year-old footage from beyond the ice wall. First of all, how long ago was video cameras actually like made like where you can see a video representation at that time? Like, do we have 90-year-old TV clips? That would answer my question. I believe so. We should. I don't know about 90. When was the first television invented? So before the first television was invented, the recorder had to be invented a couple years before that. You know what I'm saying? Because you had to have some shit recorded for a while before you even invent some shit to show on TV. You feel me? You feel what I'm saying? Like, let's see. I'm just gonna ask Google right quick. I want to add Google something. Well, my phone ain't working right. Gonna see when the should I Google it? When the TV was made, or when was the first camcorder made? All right, that's a camcorder for people to be able to buy, right? All right, so video camera. When was the first video camera invented? So we're gonna click on one while I look this shit up, man. This was a year ago, right? And this a whole bunch of bullshit. Shit, right? It's gonna be like that anyway. The globe hides the truth.
All right, everybody, it's time not just to go back.
See what it said? The globe hides the truth, which means you have to read between the lies. You have to read between the lies.
Has captured the imagination of many who claim ancient civilizations lie buried beneath the ice, and rumors of extraterrestrial contact and advanced technology hidden in its remote corners abound. While the secular narrative dismisses many of these theories as speculative or lacking evidence, supporters argue that Antarctica holds clues to humanity's past, present, and future that have yet to be fully explored and understood. In this video, I am to discuss the truth surrounding Antarctica, with the goal to entice people to read the works within the Bible, so that they may follow more closely, the Word of God. If you enjoyed the contents of this video, please remember to like, and if you would want to see more, subscribe. Antarctica, a location of ice and mystery, has been the stage for numerous famous expeditions that have captivated the imagination of explorers and adventurers for centuries. These explorations, driven by a spirit of discovery, scientific inquiry, and human endurance, have pushed the boundaries of exploration, unraveling the secrets of this remote and inhospitable location. The first of many well-documented explorations of the region can be attributed to the voyages of Captain James Cook during the 18th century.
And the first video camera was invented in 1925 by a Scottish engineer. Video camera 1920s, 1925, so roughly 100 years ago. And they say they got 90-year-old footage. It's possible.
Captain Cook, an iconic figure of maritime exploration, emerged from humble beginnings to become one of the most accomplished navigators and cartographers of his time. Born in 1728 in Marton, Yorkshire, Cook began his seafaring career as an apprentice in the British Merchant Navy before rising through the ranks of the Royal Navy. His unparalleled skills in navigation and cartography, coupled with a relentless spirit of curiosity, led to a series of transformative voyages. The first of Cook's voyages began in 1768 and lasted until 1771. Whilst aboard the HMS Endeavour, with the objective of observing the transit of Venus and the general exploration of the Pacific Ocean, Cook greatly contributed to the understanding of geography and navigation, later impacting the subsequent voyages near Antarctica. The second voyage began in 1772 and lasted until 1775. This time, whilst aboard the HMS Resolution and the HMS Adventure, Cook explored the Southern Ocean with the goal of discovering the elusive continent of Terra Australis Incognita, which is translated to the unknown land of the South. While the expedition skirted the edges of the Antarctic Circle and explored the Southern Ocean extensively, it did not encounter Antarctica. The third voyage began in 1776 and lasted until 1779. Whilst aboard the HMS Resolution and HMS Discovery, Cook, again, did not encounter Antarctica, as the objective focused on finding a northern passage between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. As is evidently expressed within each explanation of his voyages, Cook did not discover Antarctica. However, due to his efforts, his produced charts and navigational records not only aided himself, but the subsequent expeditions carried out by driven explorers in the following centuries. This is all worthy of praise, but the secular history surrounding Captain Cook and his great achievements will refrain from describing his Christian beliefs. I mention this due to the fact that Cook used the scriptures to help his understanding of sea currents and navigation. These scriptures were fundamental to his ventures and a foundation for his purpose. For the next example, highlighting key persons and their expeditions to the unknown southern region, I draw attention to a man named James Clark Ross. Ross, a distinguished British naval officer and polar explorer of the 19th century, stands as one of the most significant figures in the history of Antarctic exploration. Born in 1800 into a family renowned for its seafaring tradition, Ross embarked on a remarkable career marked by pioneering voyages to the polar regions, with his name becoming synonymous with groundbreaking achievements in both the Arctic and Antarctic. The expeditions, beginning in 1839 and lasting until 1843, possessed the primary objectives of charting the Antarctic coastline, investigating potential landmasses, and conducting scientific research, including magnetic, wildlife, and geographic observations. The accepted narrative names one of the most significant achievements of Ross's expeditions as the discovery of the Ross Sea, a large bay in Antarctica's coastline that reportedly extends into the continent between Victoria Land, named after Queen Victoria, and Marie Byrd Land, later named after the wife of the 20th century explorer Richard Byrd, who will be discussed shortly. Other major discoveries reportedly made by Ross include the Ross Ice Shelf, described as a massive floating ice shield that extends along the Antarctic coastline into the Ross Sea, and the two prominent volcanoes named Mount Erebus and Mount Terror, acquiring their names from the expedition's ships. Unlike Captain Cook, the efforts of James Ross not only achieved discovery, but also involved charting the supposed landmass of Antarctica. Once Ross returned, the outlined continent soon appeared on published maps of the discovered world, with the contents therein seemingly making the world a smaller place. However, it would be because of flight, not sail, that the mystery of Antarctica would later reignite. This brings us to a man known as Richard Evelyn Byrd, famously referred to as Admiral Byrd. Richard Byrd, born on October 25, 1888, in Winchester, Virginia, was an American naval officer, aviator, and polar explorer who made significant contributions to the exploration of Antarctica and the advancement of aviation technology. Byrd's passion for exploration led him to undertake several groundbreaking expeditions to the world's polar regions, earning him international acclaim and recognition.
Filing taxes on your own doesn't mean filing alone. With H&R Block, get unlimited expert help while you file.
Byrd's interest in aviation began during his time at the United States Naval Academy, where he graduated in 1912. He quickly distinguished himself as a skilled pilot and became one of the Navy's foremost aviation pioneers. Byrd's early accomplishments included developing innovative navigation techniques and participating in numerous aerial missions during World War I. In the years following the war, Byrd's attention turned to polar exploration, particularly Antarctica. His first expedition to Antarctica took place during 1928 to 1930, known as the First Byrd Antarctic Expedition. During this expedition, Byrd established Little America, a base camp on the Ross Ice Shelf, from which he conducted extensive scientific research and exploration flights over the supposed continent. His aerial surveys and geographic discoveries significantly expanded the known boundaries of Antarctica and paved the way for future explorations. Byrd's most famous expedition, the Second Byrd Antarctic Expedition, 1933 to 1935, further solidified his reputation as a polar explorer. During this expedition, Byrd made history by becoming the first person to reportedly fly over the South Pole on November 29, 1929, aboard his Ford trimotor aircraft, the Floyd Bennett. This remarkable achievement earned Byrd widespread acclaim and cemented his legacy as one of the greatest explorers of the 20th century. However, it didn't end there. As a renowned polar explorer and naval officer, Byrd was chosen to lead the expedition, known as the United States Antarctic Service Expedition, 1939 to 1941, due to his extensive experience and expertise. The USASC's primary objectives included conducting scientific studies in various disciplines such as geology, meteorology, glaciology, biology, and oceanography, as well as mapping unexplored regions of the continent. In addition to scientific research, the USAC also contributed to technological advancements in polar exploration. Byrd and his team tested innovative equipment, transportation methods, and survival techniques tailored to the extreme conditions, paving the way for future expeditions and
And we're going to go back to that. But I just seen something, right? Because I know what they've been talking about recently is the whole, like, the Antarctic hole. And this what this shit talking about right here. So let's see what the fuck this shit talking about right here.
Again, this is a subject worthy of its own video. However, I hope that the chosen examples have given you new perspectives on what winks in the sky and that their light is not so far away. For a biblical discussion on Antarctica, true cosmology needs to be considered so that perspective on the subject can be properly obtained. Hence, the extent to which I have gone to. However, to return to the frozen wastes, there is a hole within the ice that many share concerns over, with some even linking the breach with the bottomless pit mentioned within
Yeah, we're
Revelation.
gonna do it.
One candidate is the Weddell Polinia, or Weddell Sea Polinia, an irregular area of open water surrounded by sea ice in the Weddell Sea of the Southern Ocean, located in Antarctica. This anomaly appeared every winter between 1974 and 1976 before disappearing into solid ice, seemingly forever. However, scientists discovered its reappearance again 4 decades later. Another candidate is Antarctica's many subglacial lakes, which are bodies of liquid water beneath the ice. However, these lakes are not holes in the traditional sense. Subglacial lakes, such as Lake Vostok, have been discovered through scientific research, and they provide insights into microbial life and the potential habitability of extreme environments. The third candidate and main proponent surrounding the belief in Antarctica's many entrances below the Earth stems from the supposed recordings found within the secret diary of Admiral Byrd. The only sources of information surrounding this topic are YouTube videos narrating the contents or the wiki page from which the referenced recordings are obtained. Reading through the time-stamped logs of the lost adventure certainly brings excitement. The described events mirror the latest King Kong films, in which there is an underground ancient civilization with untouched greenery, surviving long-extinct species, and Nazi relics. However, anyone who has been exposed to the era of the internet when text blogs were more common may acquire a feeling that they are reading passionate fan fiction. Due to the vast history and accolades surrounding Admiral Byrd, any and all related information to him is seen in a favorable light by those in the truth movement. Well, my truth is the only truth, Jesus Christ. The Admiral was an extremely famous individual due to his expeditions. He rubbed shoulders with celebrities, politicians, and even the President of the United States. All of these figures played their part in the ongoing system of Babylon, to which the Admiral...
And that brings me to another subject. Last week speaking about reading between the lies. And he brought out truth, right? He brought up truth. So as we continue to read between the lies, let me look up let's look up something else I've been a while ago. It was some information, right? You know, I used to I had this saying basically, like, I don't even know if it was a saying or a question, but or a theory, you could say. A theory. Yeah, what this called the disturbing truth about the slave ship called Jesus. The hidden role of the church in slavery. Yeah. You have to read between the lies. So let's see what is going on. Let's see what this talking about. See, my theory I had about Jesus, right? Like the story of Jesus, like basically, remember he was stoned. They, you know what I'm saying? He was stoned, supposedly stoned to death, put in a cave behind a rock, and they came like what? A couple of days later, next day, and the rock was moved, and he was gone. That type shit. I always said shit, if they ain't had no medical shit back then, what they call that now is a coma. You know, if a nigga get beat, like nigga get the shit beat out of him and they think he dead, but he just be in the hospital in a coma for so long that he come up out the coma. I remember being in the church, people telling me the story, like, man, that sound like a coma, man. I just remember thinking that.
It's 2 greats on 1 plate. Try my new
like, man, that's a coma. They beat the man into a coma. They ain't know about the comas back then. Like, it wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? The study of medical, you know what I'm saying? Science wasn't there yet, so they ain't know the shit. And that's probably the first time they beat a nigga to death and actually checked on him because of who he was. You know what I'm saying? So I think about that too.
With a very interesting title, A Slave Ship Called Jesus. You know, when I first saw this book and I considered us featuring it, I said, I hope I won't get in trouble with viewers. I've been considering, of course, for obvious reasons.
It is hard hitting.
Yeah, a slave ship called Jesus. Why this title and what motivated this book? I would like you to introduce it to viewers and then we dig in.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the title is concerned, I was just minding my own business. I was just, as any educated African should, seeking to teach myself about what happened in that trade. What was it all about? How did it start?
And by trade, you mean
the slave trade,
transatlantic slave.
The transatlantic slave trade. How did it start? What was going on? And it's in the course of research that you come across certain factual details, and finding that one of the ships was called Amazing Grace. Another one was called a slave ship. It was called, the Jesus of Lubeck. Now that hit me hard. Given that I was raised in a Christian setting, I was struck by the fact that this evil trade, this where you ship people out of their continents, you wrench them out of their environment, you shove them into the boat, chain them down, you sail them across the oceans onto these plantations where they're often worked to death systematically. And these ships can be called the Jesus of Lubeck. Religious names.
On the first day of the month of August 2022, a group of the leaders of the global reparations movement met with the Vatican to discuss the Catholic Church's involvement with the transatlantic slave trade and ways in which the Church can make amends with the descendants of enslaved Africans. The group had detailed on the need for the Church to formally address its role with a papal reparations commission and financial retribution for the lineages of African ancestors who were victims of slavery in the past. The Global Circle for Reparations and Healing, GCRH, a delegation of reparations leaders arrived in Rome, led by Cam Howard, Director of Reparations United, and included Dr. Ron Daniels, convener of the National African American Reparations Commission, NAARC, Dr. Amara Enya, strategist for the GCRH, and Nicole Hannah-Jones, author of The 1619 Project, A New Origin Story. They had met with Bishop Paul Teig, Secretary of the Pontifical Council of Culture, at the Vatican. The group delivered a presentment outlining the harms and offences of the Church regarding the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. The presentment also referenced the legacy of those harms and offences and reparations measures that are needed for full repair.
The effects of the transatlantic slave trade and the harms inflicted on our ancestors continue to cause systemic damage to this day.
Thus said Cam Howard, Director of Reparations United, who is co-convener of the GCRH.
The Catholic Church has admitted that it played a role in the transatlantic slave trade, and the purpose of our meeting was to provide a roadmap to allow us to move forward toward true reparatory justice. The focus now will be on continued conversations to move the work forward to ensure repair becomes a reality.
During the meeting, Bishop Tigges suggested that the moment is ripe for the presentment to be seriously considered by the Church under the guidance of Pope Francis. He cited Pope Francis's encyclical Fratelli Tutti as evidence of the pontiff's commitment to explore issues of justice, equality, and reconciliation. Bishop Tigges agreed to share the presentment to leaders within the Church and offered suggestions for initiating a process for moving forward with talks.
When talking about slavery, particularly the transatlantic slave trade and its after effects, there are certain institutions that directly benefited and continue to reap those benefits.
Dr. Ron Daniels, convener of NARC and co-convener of the GCRH, had chipped in.
Our goal is to hold those institutions accountable and ensure that they play a major role in helping to repair the communities that have been harmed. I am encouraged by the conversation with Bishop Teague and look forward to creating real change for African descendants of enslavement throughout the diaspora.
This was a serious meeting of deliberation, and present at the Vatican meeting were representatives of other GCRH organizations and supporters representing the Global African Congress, UK, Black Europe Summer School, Netherlands, NIA Foundation, Netherlands, First Repair, US, Questa e Roma, Italy, and the African Future Action Lab, Europe. We may never realize how deeply slavery was embedded in the American economy. Slavery fueled the growth of many of our contemporary institutions, including the Catholic Church. Many Southern Christians felt that slavery, in one Baptist minister's words, stands as an institution of God. Here are some common arguments made by Christians at the time. 1. Abraham, the father of faith, and all the patriarchs held slaves without God's disapproval. Genesis 21 verses 9 to 10. 2. Canaan, Ham's son, was made a slave to his brothers. Genesis 9 verses 24 to 27. 3. The Ten Commandments mentioned slavery twice, showing God's implicit acceptance of it. Exodus chapter 20 verses 10 and 17. 4. Slavery was widespread throughout the Roman world, and yet Jesus never spoke against it. 5. The Apostle Paul specifically commanded slaves to obey their masters. Ephesians 6 verses 5 to 8. 6. Paul returned a runaway slave, Philemon, to his master. Book of Philemon 12. 7. Slavery removes people from a culture that worshipped the devil, practiced witchcraft and sorcery and other evils. This one really held grounds then, as though witchcraft and sorcery weren't also practiced by Europeans and the Western world at large. 8. Under slavery, people are treated with kindness, as many northern visitors can attest. I wonder who were the northern visitors that could attest to a thing such as kindness in the gross inhumanity of slavery. 9. Slavery is God's means of protecting and providing for an inferior race, suffering the curse of Ham in Genesis 9 verse 25, or even the punishment of Cain in Genesis 4 verse 12. 10. Those who support abolition of slavery are, in James H. Thornwell's words, atheists, socialists, communists, and red Republicans. This could just go on, taking one's mind into a labyrinth of confusion and sorrow. Many of us view the Catholic Church as a northern church, but the Catholic Church established its foothold in the South and relied on plantations and slave labor to help finance the livelihoods of its priests and nuns and to support its schools and religious projects. This is the history that we all should know. Enslaved people have largely been left out of the origin story that is traditionally told about the Catholic Church. And
let's go back to that part.
and red Republicans. This could just go on, taking one's mind into a labyrinth of confusion and sorrow. Many of us view the Catholic Church as a northern church, but the Catholic Church established its foothold in the South and relied on plantations and slave labor to help finance the livelihoods of its priests and nuns and to support its schools and religious projects. This is the history that we all should know. Enslaved people have largely been left out of the origin story that is traditionally told about the Catholic Church and other religious institutions. In 2005, for example, Cardinal Avery Fusion and Sorrow. Many of us view the Catholic Church as a northern church, but the Catholic Church established its foothold in the South and relied on plantations and slave labor to help finance the livelihoods of its priests and nuns and to support its schools and religious projects.
Sounds oddly similar. Oddly similar when you think about the church itself. And you know, it always be a couple of videos, right? There's always certain videos that end up circulating this shit a couple times a year. Other pastors and people be pressing the congregation about their tithes and shit, right? It's always different videos, like every couple years, like that go viral. From churches pressing members about their tithes and how much they pay and shit. And then you got all these churches, like go back to what? Damn, bro. And like I said, it can take your mind into a depth of sorrow, like wondering, like, what the fuck? But we just gonna keep before I go too deep.
This is the history that we all
but it's oddly similar. I was just stating that. I just want like, yeah, they depend on our labor for they, you know what I'm saying, shit. But the church is like, if you go through this shit, like the church was actually used as manipulation. You feel me? For a stronger hold on the people they enslaved in the first place.
Should know.
All this shit they did was really psychological on a generational level. Like,
enslaved people have largely been left out of the origin story that is traditionally told about the Catholic Church and other religious institutions. In 2005, for example, Cardinal Avery Dulles wrote a book review in First Things, claiming that the popes had denounced the trade in African slaves from its very beginnings, and yet had never condemned slavery as such, retaining a continuity of teaching that always allowed for some attenuated forms of servitude. Other apologists have taken a more absolute position. The Church has always been against slavery itself. Both these lines of argumentation seem to agree on two central assertions. The popes always condemned the trade in African slaves, and the Church's teaching did not change. Defending the Church either in its reputation or its doctrinal continuity can be praiseworthy. But when it comes to the history of the Catholic Church and slaveholding, this posture of defense has been deeply damaging. It has unnecessarily led to confusion around the Church's history with slaveholding, and that confusion has helped to prevent the Church from reckoning with a troubling history whose consequences are still present in our world. And yet it was once widely known, and still is among historians of slavery today, that the Catholic Church once embraced slavery in theory and in practice.
So you think you know Wix? Do you really? First up, we've got shape video masks. You can use different shapes to create completely different vibes.
I just zoned out when that shit came on. Dividendsapparel.com. Do it capital.
The trade in enslaved Africans and allowed its priests, religious and laity to keep people as enslaved chattel. The Jesuits, for example, by the historian Andrew Deal's count, owned over 20,000 enslaved people circa 1760. The Jesuits and other slaveholding bishops, priests and religious were not disciplined for their slaveholding because they were not breaking church teachings. slaveholding, was allowed by the Catholic Church. In reacting to the effects of European encroachments into Africa, Jomo Kenyatta had said, "When the Europeans came to our lands, we had the lands and they had the Bible. They taught us to pray with our eyes closed. When we opened our eyes, they had the land and we had the Bible." Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan had also stated,
"Read between the lies." And you hear about this shit so many different times, so many different stories. Hold on, let's go back to that again. Just in case niggas missed. Let's go back.
Into Africa, Jomo Kenyatta had said, "When the Europeans came to our lands, we had the lands and they had the Bible. They taught us to pray with our eyes closed. When we opened our eyes, they had the land and we had the Bible." Dr. Joseph Ben.
You heard that right? When them people came, we had the land and they came with the Bible. So they trying to talk. They came through trying to teach us shit, taught them about the Bible, and taught them to pray with their eyes closed. Deceitful motherfuckers. The church did this, right? So they prayed with their eyes closed. And when they was done praying, when people took the land and gave them the Bible, I know I'm lit a little bit, but nah, that's crazy. Like, how, like, just imagine that, like, how long do it take you to pray? And how long did they tell them you had to pray for? What was it like? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I pray, it's to myself, and it's like no longer than a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they swapped that shit out and took the land in under a minute.
Yochanan had also stated, "Africa took both the hook, the line, and the sinker."
Like, how long y'all pray for? Even Muslim, like, when they be doing that shit, how long did they pray for? Like, it's a certain amount of time, right? They be locking the doors and they pray, right? That shit be like for an hour or something. They worship for like an hour or something. I don't know how long. I'm just guesstimating. Like, even within an hour, bro. Like, first of all, how somebody come to your land, teach you about praying, and how do you end up taking the land like that? Like, it had to be like a situation, like a squatter situation. Now, how shit be like, how them people, like, if you abandon some shit and them people in your house for a certain amount of time getting mail, they living in that bitch for however long, they could take over and own your property, right? You know what I'm saying? It got to be some shit like that. That's what I'm thinking. It had to be some, or it had to be some shit like you let somebody stay with you, and you let them stay for a while. Now they done started getting mailed up, and now they don't move. They'll stay longer past the time they supposed to stay. They supposed to be leaving. Now they got an issue trying to leave. They ain't got nowhere to go, but they getting mailed up. Now you can't even just kick them out no more because they getting mailed. Like, it's like one of them type of shits. And they just took over a nigga shit. Or it could have been like the Airbnb situations, right? Like how motherfuckers go in an Airbnb. You have an Airbnb, then you rent that bitch out to a motherfucker, then they renting it out so long. Now they receiving mail. Like, it's been so many stupid situations. Like, technicality is like, so you come to the people land, then you impose your own rules, and then that's how you take the land. Like, that's what they did. They had to come through, impose their own shit, and so they had to put down. Like, when you going into a nigga trap, you get cool, you go in their trap, Oh, what y'all ain't got this, y'all got that. You assist them niggas, and you put down and they try. You like take over their shit, like you know what I'm saying, like it was some shit like that, man. It's basically like extortion. They extorting them. They just deboed that shit. That's the way I can explain that shit. Like they deboed that shit. Do shit. What changed? That's what happened. They debowed the land. They used the Bible to debow the land. Damn. What land? Can you imagine that shit? Like a movie, like like a movie on this to represent this in like a Friday fashion. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, boom, you chilling with your partner, like boom, you on your land, like you done probably hunted some shit, you cooking some shit up on the fire. You know what I'm saying? You got your people, you know what I'm saying, kids running around, and, you know what I'm saying, whatever. You got your peace pipe, you smoking that bit with your partner on, y'all chilling like that. And then these people come through like motherfucking the pastor. Like Bernie Mac, they come through like he come through like Bernie Mac. The pastor come through. While you chilling with your partner, you just trying to roll up, put in your peace pipe, like, oh shit, here come the pastor. Talking about sins and the Bible. He got the Bible in his hand. Don't you know? You ain't supposed to be doing that, brother. All this. Come on, let me teach you how to pray. Oh, there's some nice land you got here. You don't know about the Bible? You don't know how to pray? That's why you doing that to you. Imagine doing that shit. Imagine that shit happening and them niggas actually paying that nigga some attention. Right? All right. And teach them how to pray. Told them close their eyes while they pray. And they got to keep them closed the whole time he praying with them. He snatching everything, the weed, everything out there, the chain. And then they done praying. They like, hey, well, oh yeah, this is my land now. Y'all got to go. Yeah, I just prayed for this. I just prayed for this. This is my land. I got to go. What? What do you mean? And then gave you the Bible. Yeah. Now you got to go pray somewhere else to find you some other. I just prayed for this. I wanted all this right here. I just prayed for it with y'all. I just taught y'all. What was that supposed to be like the form of it? Currency. That was like the first pyramid scheme. Let me stop.
From Dr. J. Henrik Clark. I question the intelligence of anyone who believes that everything written in the Bible is true. Yet another one still from Napoleon Bonaparte, who said religion had stopped the poor from killing the rich. In Europe, Karl Marx had stated too.
Y'all heard that? I don't want to say it myself. Yeah, I'm gonna rewind. I'm gonna rewind just a couple seconds right there, but I don't know if niggas heard that.
Another one still from Napoleon Bonaparte, who said religion had stopped the poor from killing the rich. In Europe, Karl Marx had stated too that religion is the opium of the masses.
Religion is the opium of the masses. Bitch, do you know it? I don't know if motherfuckers understand. If they manipulated niggas, distracted niggas, and got them high off of hope. Niggas high off of hope. That's all it is. Religion is the opium of the masses. And I go further. That's just like the same thing with the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry, everything entertainment. The shows, music. Not so much music, but like the show and sports. It's all the opium of the masses to prevent the change that's necessary, that you really want to see, that you really want to happen, that you really need to happen for your children, for real.
The list could go on and on.
But you're asleep on the opium of the masses. There's so many opium. You got the opium of the masses. You got the cocaine of the masses. I feel like that's the sports. Especially now with the sports betting. It's keep going, man. That shit go on. That shit 24 hours like crypto, nigga. You on the right betting app, nigga. That shit 24 hours like crypto, nigga. Like, man, niggas don't know about crypto on the market, nigga. The market closes, and it's even closed on the weekend, bitch. Sports betting, you could bet on fucking table tennis. You could bet on some shit across the world, nigga. At that time, it's so table tennis. Soccer is so much crazy shit they got you betting on. They had an option you could bet on the niggas Call of Duty game, nigga. Niggas was doing the Call of Duty. This shit was on Hard Rock Bet. I know I ain't bullshit. It had to be. It was one of these bets. It probably wasn't Hard Rock. It was one of these motherfuckers though. You could bet on certain niggas in this Call of Duty matchup. Who finna win? And that shit 24 hours like that, it's just distractions. That's the cocaine. That's the cocaine of the masses. Man, the list goes on. Like they said, hold on, let's go back. We gonna keep it on. Let me just rewind that part again though.
I question the intelligence of anyone who believes that everything written in the Bible is true.
Me too.
Yet another one still from Napoleon Bonaparte, who said religion had stopped the poor from killing the rich. In Europe, Karl Marx had stated too that religion is the opium of the masses. The list could go on and on and on. The transatlantic slave trade was introduced by the coming of the Europeans, who came with the Bible in the same manner that Arab raiders and traders from the Middle East and North Africa introduced Islam through the trans-Saharan slave trade. In fact, the church was the backbone of the slave trade, historians had pointed out. In other words, most of the slave traders and slave ship captains were very good Christians. For example, Sir John Hawkins, the first slave ship captain to bring African slaves to the Americas, was a religious man who insisted that his crew serve God daily and love one another. His ship, ironically called the Good Ship Jesus, left the shores of his native England for Africa in October 1562. Yes, you heard right. The first British slave ship to reach the Americas was called the Good Jesus. What has come to be referred to as the Good Ship Jesus was in fact the Jesus of Lubeck, a 700-ton ship purchased by King Henry VIII from the Hanseatic League, a merchant alliance between the cities of Hamburg and Lubeck in Germany. 20 years after its purchase, the ship, in disrepair, was lent to Sir John Hawkins by Queen Elizabeth. John Hawkins had the dubious distinction of becoming the first slave ship captain to bring Africans to the Americas. He was granted permission from Queen Elizabeth for his first voyage in 1562. He was allowed to carry Africans to the Americas with their own free consent, and he agreed to this condition. Hawkins had a reputation for being a religious man who required his crew to serve God daily and to love one another. Sir Francis Drake, a cousin to Hawkins,
It's time.
accompanied Hawkins on this voyage and a subsequent others. Drake, too, was himself devoutly religious. Services were held on board twice a day. In this very voyage, off the coast of Africa near Sierra Leone, Hawkins captured 300 to 500 slaves, mostly by plundering Portuguese ships, but also through violence and subterfuge, promising Africans free land and riches in the New World. He sold most of the slaves in what is now known as the Dominican Republic. he returned home with a profit and ships laden with ivory, hides and sugar. Thus had begun the slave trade. On his return to England, Queen Elizabeth had grown very furious at Hawkins, charging that his endeavour was detestable and would call down vengeance from heaven upon the undertakers. When Elizabeth became fully aware, however, of the profits to be made, she had joined in partnership with Hawkins and provided him with the Jesus of Lubeck, aka the good ship Jesus. A later slaving expedition in 1567, consisting of 5 ships, and the Jesus of Lubeck met with resistance from the Spaniards at San Juan de Ulloa in Mexico. Since the slave trade was illegal, Spanish colonists usually required a charade of force from British ships, after which they would buy slaves at a discount. This time around, however, the Spaniards attacked the British ships and the Jesus of Lubeck, cumbersome and difficult to maneuver, was sunk and the crew slaughtered. Hawkins escaped with Drake on a smaller ship. Hawkins, his piratic ambitions dashed, returned to England and remained there in the service of the Queen. He gained distinction for his pivotal role in defeating the Spanish Armada and was knighted in 1588. The British did not initiate, but they did dominate the Atlantic slave trade. Few expressed moral or ethical doubts about slavery. The Anglican Church was directly involved in slavery. When a Christian voice was raised against the slave trade, it was led by Quakers who also played a critical role in the campaign to end the slave trade. In fact, few people raised their voice against the Atlantic slave trade until the mid-18th century. There had been isolated objectors, but on the whole, the trade developed without any real sense of religious objection. It was almost as if the slave trade was morally neutral. It is true there had been the occasional Christian denunciation of slave trading, most notably from early Puritans and Quakers. George Fox had denounced it as early as 1673, but as the trade grew, involving ever more people and industries to feed the slave ships, and as the material bounty from the slave colonies flowed back to Britain, such criticisms were drowned out by the sound of profitable trade. In the century before abolition in 1807, the British had shipped more than 3 million Africans to the plantations. The suffering of the Africans on the ships and plantations were undeniable, but raised barely a whisper. Indeed, godly men came to think of the trade as a simple fact of life. God-fearing men went about their godless business. George Whitefield, an evangelist in America, did not approve of slavery, but he nonetheless owned slaves. The young slave captain John Newton saw nothing odd as he put his rebellious Africans in the thumbscrews, before settling down to pray for a safe and profitable passage to the Americas. Newton came to regret his slaving past, and is now more famous as a cleric and hymn writer than a slave trader, but his conversion was not so much a sudden revelation as a gradual dawning of true faith and a rejection of his sinful past. And there had been nothing more sinful than his slaving days, though at the time neither he nor thousands more thought it wicked. Through all this, the Church of England was, by turns, complicit and then transformed. By a quirk of inheritance, the Anglican SPCG, founded in 1701, had inherited plantations in 1710, mainly in Barbados, from Christopher Codrington, a former soldier, government official and planter. The plantations and their resident slaves were managed like any other absentee plantation, their sugar-based profits flowing back to their owners, the Church of England. The slaves were branded, a common pattern in the islands, and there were occasional concerns expressed about their well-being. In 1760, the Archbishop of Canterbury wrote, "I have long worried and lamented that the Negroes in our plantations decrease. Surely this proceeds from some defect, both of humanity and even of good policy, but we must take things as they are at present." And so it continued until, at full emancipation in 1833, the church was compensated to the tune of £8,833 for the loss of their slaves on Codrington. Throughout, whatever the unease or discomfort, there was no sense that slave ownership was irreligious. It was a matter of rendering unto Caesar. The church was present throughout the lifespan of slavery in the New World. Contrary to popular opinion, Christianity was by no means solely an anti-slavery advocate. For the most part, there is plenty of evidence to support the Christian Church's struggle for the abolition of the despicable institution. But there is also evidence to defend the contrary. Because slavery was such a lucrative business, many in the church continued to profit from the despicable institution. Notwithstanding this, there were still many who were adamant abolitionists. However, there are obviously many different forms of religion derived from Catholic and Protestant roots, as well as an infinite number of independent beliefs. Different Christian sects had different ways of addressing the sensitive topic of African bondage. There were differences of opinion both among and within these denominations when it came to slavery. Even the Quakers, who developed a firm objection to slavery, had problems convincing all of their members that it was evil. Some of them even owned slaves. Some historians argue that if churches had used their power, the Atlantic slave trade might have never occurred. One of them was Albert Barnes, a 19th century abolitionist, who suggested that the institution of Christianity alone was powerful enough to have stopped or even prevented slavery from developing in the New World. The church, he argued, was the great opponent of slavery during the Roman Empire, as well as during colonialism in the New World. Although the latter point is particularly debatable, yet Barnes believed that if all of the different denominations pulled together, there would be no other power strong enough to combat it. Slavery would have been non-existent. Still, the fact remains that many slaveholders were Christians, and some were even members of the clergy. Even some missionaries to the colonies owned slaves. Bartolomé de las Casas, a Catholic priest and missionary who stationed in Hispaniola in the early 16th century, owned Native American slaves, and later swapped them in for the more durable and work-friendly African slaves. He wrote to Spain suggesting that the slaveholders cease the use of Native Americans as slaves because they were unable to cope with the harsh working conditions and European diseases that were wiping them out. The Africans, on the other hand, were sturdier and better equipped to withstand European disease. The Catholic Church had a major presence in slavery in the New World. According to Richard Miller, Catholic countries were the prime movers in the revival of slavery in the Old World and the introduction of it into the New World. The Church of Rome did not consider the African slave a human being until 1839. Miller adds that this only occurred after the abolition movement by the American Anti-Slavery Society and the certainty of the handwriting on the wall that someday slavery would be abolished. Even though there were missionaries in the islands who were devoted to the abolition of slavery, there were some that were just as bad as the plantation holders when it came to the treatment of their slaves. Halley argued that the Baptist missionaries in Barbados petitioned for the emancipation of slaves, or at least the improvement of their living conditions, yet they were severely mistreating their own slaves. He also reported that the missionaries neglected the slaves' religious lessons and did not permit their slaves to learn to read. The slaves were not even given their Sabbath to worship. This time was allotted to them to care for their own land. Robert Halley had similar comments on the slaves in Mauritius and Jamaica. The slave must work on the Sabbath and has little time for himself. The last Jamaica slave code allows 26 Saturdays in the year, which I have seen disingenuously represented as holidays. But as 26 days of labor, even in that climate, are totally insufficient to maintain a family, he must be compelled to cultivate his provision ground on the Sabbath. Here it was not only slaves belonging to the missionaries, but those belonging to white plantation owners. Nancy Prince was disappointed with the condition of the Baptist churches in Jamaica. She said that the meeting houses were unruly and seemed more like playhouses than a place of worship. She noted that the churches were overcrowded and unorganized. She also noted that many of the blacks were underdressed, some without shoes. According to a 2015 Global Black History report, the Catholic Church did not oppose the institution of slavery until the practice had already become infamous in most parts of the world. In most cases, the churches and church leaders did not condemn slavery until the 17th century. The 5 major countries that dominated slavery and the slave trade in the New World were either Catholic or still retained strong Catholic influences, including Spain, Portugal, France, and England, and the Netherlands. Persons who considered themselves to be Christian played a major role in upholding and justifying the enslavement of Africans, said Dr. Jonathan Chisholm, an assistant professor of history at the University of Houston downtown. Many European Christian slavers perceived Africans as uncivilized persons. They justified slavery by rationalizing that they were Christianizing and civilizing their African captors, even went as far as filtering the truths of the gospel to keep them under control. In fear they would eventually awaken to that which they're entitled to as Christians and demand freedom and equality if they knew the truth like it was. Obedience to their masters, therefore, without questioning the laws became the indoctrination applied till date. Many Anglo-Christians defended slavery using the Bible. White Christian apologists for slavery argued that the curse of Ham in Genesis chapter 9 verses 20 to 25 provided a biblical rationale for the enslavement of blacks. In this passage, Noah cursed Canaan and his descendants, arguing that Ham would be the lowest of slaves among his brothers, because he saw the unclothedness of his father. A further understanding of the passage also revealed that while some have attempted to justify their prejudice by claiming that God cursed the black...
Listen to this.
black race, no such curse is recorded in the Bible. That often cited verse says nothing whatsoever about skin color. Also, it should be noted that black race evidently descended from a brother of Canaan named Cush. Canaan's descendants were evidently light-skinned, not black. Truly nothing in the biblical account identifies Ham, the descendant of Canaan, with Africans. Yet Christian apologists determined that Africans were the descendants of Ham. Nevertheless, at the beginning of the 16th century, the racial interpretation of Noah's curse became commonplace. In 2016, Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. offered a public apology after acknowledging that 188 years prior, Jesuit priests sold 272 slaves to save the school from financial ruin. This is how the New York Times first reported the story. The human cargo was loaded on ships at a bustling wharf in the nation's capital, destined for the plantations of the Deep South. Some slaves pleaded for rosaries as they were rounded up, praying for deliverance. But on that day in the fall of 1838, no one was spared. Not the 2-month-old baby and her mother, not the field hands, not the shoemaker, and not Cornelius Hawkins, who was about 13 years old when he was forced on board. This was no ordinary slave sale. The enslaved African Americans had belonged to the nation's most prominent Jesuit priests, and they were sold, along with scores of others, to help secure the future of the premier Catholic institution of higher learning at the time, known today as Georgetown University. The Society of Jesus, who helped to establish Georgetown University and whose leaders enslaved and mercilessly sold your ancestors, stands before you to say that we have greatly sinned. Reverend Timothy Kasicki, S.J., president of the Jesuit Conference of Canada and the United States, had said during a liturgy of remembrance, contrition, and hope, "We pray with you today because we have greatly sinned and because we are profoundly sorry." During the early Republic, Catholics celebrated the new Constitution for its guarantee of religious liberty while simply accepting its guarantee of slaveholding. Internal church politics mattered too. When the Jesuit order was suppressed in 1773, the plantation system of the order in Maryland was seen as a protection for their identity and solidarity. The Universal Church taught that slavery enjoyed the sanction of Scripture and natural law. Throughout the antebellum period, many churches in the South committed to sharing their version of the Christian faith with blacks. They believed that their version of Christianity would help them to be good slaves and not challenge the slave system. One of the reasons the Church's past approval of slaveholding is so little known among the general Catholic population today is that the very popes who reversed the Church's course on slavery and the slave trade also promoted that same inaccurate narrative that defended the Church's reputation and continuity, even intentionally or not, at the cost of the truth. Condemning the Atlantic slave trade. The shifts began quietly. In 1814, Pope Pius VII, at the request of Great Britain prior to the upcoming Congress of Vienna, privately sent letters to the kings of France and Spain asking them to condemn the slave trade. At this time in history, condemning the trade did not equate to condemning slavery itself. The slave trade meant the transatlantic shipping of enslaved persons from the African continent to the New World. Hence, the slaveholding US President Thomas Jefferson, prior to signing an anti-slave trade bill into law in 1807, saw no contradiction in referring to the trade as those violations of human rights against the unoffending inhabitants of Africa. All while continuing to keep black descendants of the trade's immediate victims enslaved. Britain itself outlawed the trade in 1807, but slaveholding remained legal afterward in parts of its empire. In the same vein, Pius's private letters referred only to the trade, not to slavery itself. The papacy's condemnation of the trade became a public one in 1839 with Gregory XVI's bull In Supremo Apostolatus. Though the bull came once again at the request of Great Britain, Gregory deserves praise for being the first pope to publicly condemn the Atlantic slave trade after nearly 4 centuries of its operation. The bull was a strong one in many ways, blaming the advent of the trade on Christians who were basely blinded by the lust of sordid greed. And yet, as with Pius VII, Gregory did not speak directly on the issue of whether slaveholders in the Americas should free their enslaved people, something he easily could have included. So when some abolitionists in the United States greeted Gregory's bull as a fully anti-slavery document, Catholic bishops like John England of Charleston, SC, and Francis Patrick Kenrick of Philadelphia argued that the only thing the bull did was precisely what the United States had already done: ban participation in the international slave trade. Gregory corrected no one's interpretation, and so Catholic slaveholding was able to continue in the United States and elsewhere, arguably without disobedience to the church teaching. Approximately 4 years ago, Episcopal Bishop of New York, Andrew M. L. Dietschy, reminded a group of clergy of the ugly history of their diocese. Not only was slavery deeply embedded in the life and economy of colonial New York, but Episcopal churches across the state often participated in it. Church founders, churchgoers, and even churches themselves had enslaved people. The abolitionist Sojourner Truth had once been enslaved by a church in the diocese. The Diocese of New York played a significant and genuinely evil part in American slavery, Dietschy said during his November 2019 address. We must make, where we can, repair. After his speech at the diocese's annual convention, the clergy unanimously voted to set aside $1.1 million of the diocese's endowment for a reparations fund, marking the beginning of what the diocese referred to as the Year of Reparation. The year has become years. Churches across the state have been engaging in a variety of activities to attempt to make amends for this past, putting up plaques acknowledging that their wealth was created by enslaved labor, staging plays about the role their congregation had in the slave trade, and committing parts of their endowments to reparations funds. This comes more than a decade after a 2006 resolution by the General Convention in which the national leadership of the Episcopal Church, which is 90% white, called on churches to study how they benefited from slavery. Since then, Episcopal dioceses in Georgia, Texas, Maryland, and Virginia have begun similar programs. Other predominantly white denominations, including the Presbyterian Church and the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, also passed resolutions in 2004 and 2019, respectively, to study the denomination's role in slavery and have begun the process of determining how to make reparations. That brings us to the end of this video. Reach out to us in the comment if you learned something and share your thoughts. Support our works by hitting that like button. Share with your families and friends to keep spreading our eye-opening black narrative, and subscribe to stay with us for more. We're delighted to have you. Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Yeah, I zoned out at the end of that shit because
if it's gorgeous you want, stunning,
like fuck that shit. Long live grandma. She was born a slave and just passed at 96. My heart gone, but I got an angel, so you know what I'm saying? And the nigga definitely be ready to crash. Like, I just came across some shit. Right? The nigga be saying some real shit, you feel me? Like, I don't look at it for nothing else. I look, follow him just for the real shit. But I know he be trying to sell shit, but you know what I'm saying?
That's more dangerous than an emotional woman is an emotional man. And unfortunately, we come from a culture that is overly emotional. We're very compulsive, impulsive. We're very destructive, and we don't have any foresight. So we just crash out at the first thing smoking. And I'm gonna keep telling y'all, stop making fucking permanent decisions based off temporary moments, especially when you know a nigga got a camera rolling. All right, number 2, y'all. To the tough guy in the pink shirt, I was so mad about that little funky ass $400 he's about to take from him. Number 1, my brother, on an average across America, the bond for an assault charge can cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $100,000. So trust and believe, what you just crashed out for on camera is not worth the motherfucking cost on the back end. And number 3, you better hope like hell you don't get an asshole DA or asshole arresting officer based off this video if they do catch it on the internet and pick it up. Because guess what this is going to turn into? This is definitely going to turn into a robbery charge. Because that man can definitely show up in court and say, I didn't want to give him the money. I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. He just was constantly beating my ass. So I said, hey, let me give it up. My brother, you should not rob people in public places, at public businesses while you are being recorded. Another thing, to the niggas that run the barbershop that allowing this fight to take place, I want y'all to know this is not a good look for your business. The last thing that any distinguished gentleman wants to do is go to a barbershop where niggas are getting their ass kicked and they potentially get killed. I'm gonna run down and get a fresh fade from them niggas that be fighting like fucking YNs and gorillas. This ain't a good look for your business, bro. This is bad for everybody involved. And that's when I least y'all, I'm gonna say this. Bro in the pink shirt is probably justified in kicking his ass if what he said is true in that video, that he fucked him over on $400. He's probably giving him the ass whooping that his mom and daddy should have gave him, so he didn't grow up to be a thieving, robbing ass motherfucker. But unfortunately, bro, you live in a country that doesn't allow you to take justice into your hands. And until y'all recognize where y'all live at and what y'all up against, they are going to keep hiding our black asses, putting us behind the wall, putting us in that system to where we end up in positions where we really can't get a fucking head. So I'm gonna say this shit again to everybody watching this video. Y'all are gonna
And it just go back to what I was saying with this whole shit. We're reading between the lies. The whole video talking about the slaves and all that shit. That shit kind of was fucking with me a little bit because, like I said, my grandma was born a slave. My son just died. 96. She was finna turn 97. And 2 months. Yeah, man, it's been another therapy session with Capital. Whatever you do, make sure you do it Capital. Create a positive impact today and later. We in the lit house, whatever you do, make sure you keep the light within you shining, you feel me? Home Inc. TV, hustlers on a mission every day. Sponsored by dividendsapparel.com. And never forget, real niggas do what they want to do. Bitch niggas do what they can. Hoe ass niggas gonna talk about it. And fuck niggas gonna hate regardless. I promise you that. So just do your shit to the fullest, nigga. Who give a fuck what they think? I don't, and you shouldn't either.
Hey, I'm a hustler on a mission. Grinding for that spot, a brand new pot to piss in. Trying to school my partners, I don't think they pay attention. I'm sticking to my vision, on the road to the riches. Every single day, I'm a hustler on a mission. Trying to get 100 M's, nigga, I ain't kidding. I'm on a mission, 24/7, 365, until I